What's up, everyone, and welcome to ClearTalk. So we're going to talk real quick. Um, Trump was inaugurated in today. He sworn in to be our 47th president. Um, so I did consider um, streaming it or videoing it and commenting into it, but I ultimately decided not to. But I did watch it and listen to it. I unfortunately, but I did. And so we're going to talk about it. I'm going to go over a few of the things that were talked about and a few other little outside of that things. And try to keep it as short as I can, but we're going to talk about it today. So thank you very much for joining me. If you are, please consider subscribing, like, share, comment, all that good stuff. If you want to check out my other channels, I have JMDPLAY there, and JMD Drummer. If you want to, if you're interested in my drumming and stuff, I have music, like reactions and stuff over there, and covers. You can uh, go through those, like, subscribe, all that good stuff over there as well. Share if you like it, and then of course JMDPLAY game stuff over there. Um, I I've been slacking a little bit on that channel, to be honest, but here lately. But I do plan on trying to get a little bit more going over there. But yeah, Discord there if you want to check that out. Give me more ideas or something or whatever. The one time QR right there. If you want to do a one time donation or something. Of course, JMD Nation Patreon, $3 a month there for any of the channels. And there's a couple of higher tiers on the JMD channel, but um, anything you support you give is very much appreciated. So thank you very, very much. You are awesome. So let's swap back over. All right. So yes, Trump was inaugurated today. He is now our 47th president. Um, you had first off ahead of the inauguration, you had uh, protesters and stuff have with the people. I think it was like the People's March. I think um, assemble and go. There was tens of thousands of them protesting or uh, from all different aspects of political discourse or whatever, from women's rights to racial issues to the economy, immigration. You name it, it was everybody there, uh, and gender rights, all the different things, and so. Pretty good march. It was like I said, there's a lot of people there, a lot of people out, even in the cold and the snow. They were out there protesting. That started, like I said, 2 days ago, set on like Saturday or so. I think there was a couple of cities that also had some ex, marching along, side of it. I know Chicago did. I'm not sure exactly all cities that did it, but there was a good many of them. So you had that going on. Even yesterday, I think I'm not so sure about how much was there today, particularly, but it was a lot of people. Not as many, I think, at least not initially. Anyway, I don't know how it. Like I said, I don't know how it came up today, but initially maybe less than what was expected. But I think the cold probably detoured some people to some degree, I'm sure. But uh, but yeah, so you had that going on, and then of course we talked about how the inauguration itself had been moved indoors because of the cold. And even though the temperature was going to be around 4 to 27 or something like that, the wind chill had it down close to like 14 or less. I don't know. It's maybe like I think it's like the third coldest day The only last time they were brought it inside was on Reagan's second inauguration, where the temperature was like um, I want to say 7 or something like that. The other number two was I want to say it was Obama's first. I think it was his first inauguration. It was I think like 9 degrees or something, or 12 or something like that. It was somewhere. It was somewhere either in the below 10 or just right there in the above 10 or something like that. Somewhere around in there. That one was not brought indoors. It was outside. Had a massive crowd, as you all remember. Um, One of the largest crowds, if not the largest crowd at an inauguration ever. Uh, and so, I think maybe part of that, it's been argued part of that may have been the reason why Trump went along with bringing it indoors. Is, he does have an obsession with crowd size. That's, I'm not just trying to like poke, but it is. I mean, he truly does have an issue with that. So maybe he didn't want us to have that sort of imagery that not a lot of people would show up because of the cold. So it would be look like a smaller crowd. Even though his fans, I'm pretty sure, would have straight up showed up. As a matter of fact, we even had um, uh, reporting and stuff, people out there, because beforehand we were hoping that everybody would, you get this because they just changed this yesterday or Saturday, I guess, and so you're hoping that everybody's getting that message, and people don't just show up out there anyway. And that was for me, I think that was kind of a concern that they should have. And sure enough, there were people that showed up out there. I don't think it was a whole lot, but there were people that showed up out there. Um, that did not really know until last minute, till they were really out there, that it was not even going to be outside. And a lot of these people were actually legitimately upset, and mad at Trump because they were expecting to show up there and be able to see him and see his inauguration, and it wasn't there. So a lot of them were actually upset. So I don't, but I don't know how that would affect them personally, anecdotally, from one to the other, as far as where they go from there, as far as viewing them. Maybe they'll probably just throw it to the side and be like, well, I kind of understand, whatever. But maybe this was the maybe this was the one thing that we decided to, turn them from them. I don't know. I doubt it, but I mean, if that, whatever. But so yeah, you did have that happen as well. But going on to the inauguration, it happened, roughly around 12 o'clock is when Trump come in. Well, 12 o'clock Eastern time, which threw me off for a second because that's another reason why I didn't even worry about streaming or anything, because I was kind of last minute. It was like right at 11 o'clock when I realized, oh crap, it's because I'm Central Time, so I was like, oh crap, it's happening right now. And so I was just like, you know what, never mind, I'll just do it after. But the one big thing that came out, which I didn't even pay attention because I was watching it when it happened, but I wasn't really paying attention on his like swearing in. But the one thing that was interesting that come out from that is that he wound up not even technically swearing on a Bible or anything, which is what he said, pre before the inauguration, is what he was going to do. Like his design, his setup was that he was going to place his hand on 2 Bibles, one that was from like a family Bible, and then one that was the Lincoln Bible that Lincoln supposedly swore in on. Um, and Melania was holding the Bibles in her hand beside him, but he never turned and placed his hands on them. So, and we have this shot here of him, um, of him swearing in, and he was said, President Trump did not place his hand on the stack of 2 Bibles, which was held by Melania, to swear in on Monday. Instead, he just had his left hand down to his side, and he rose his right hand for the oath of office. So I don't know how much that is going to bother some people. Me personally, I don't care because I'm not. religious or anything. Or not anymore, anyways. So I don't really care. But I know this is very deep in, like, a sacrilegious kind of thing to a degree. So I mean, I don't know how much that's going to upset people, but he had both a family Bible and this the so-called, they even said so-called Lincoln Bible, sworn, which was sworn on by the 16th president in 1861 and Barack Obama in '09 and 2013. Which I didn't even know Barack Obama swore in on that, but uh, so yeah, he didn't swear in on the on the Bible. So that was interesting. Yeah, it probably was just sort of a flub on his part. Like, he just didn't think about it in the very moment. He planned to do it, but you know, didn't think about, hey, let me place my hand here. Then um, whatever. Like I said, I personally don't give a damn, but um, there's probably some people out there that are gonna be a little upset about that. But then, of course, you had the one other big thing that everybody noticed, of course, was that you had all your big tech billionaires center stage in this thing. I mean, they even got better seating arrangements and positioning on stage than um, than Trump's cabinet members that have been swearing in and stuff the past week or so um, in the Senate. They were in front of them. So the people that he's bringing into office, the people who are have a like fully sworn to him for years, at this point, doing his bidding, going to be in his cabinet to try to push his agendas and probably their agendas too, whatever, the whole MAGA agenda. They were placed behind the tech billionaires. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Zuckerberg, all these big time tech giant billionaires were in front of his cabinet members. Um, Even Miriam Allison, better seat right in the front. And, these are all people who have donated to him recently, throwing out, millions of dollars at him, all bending their knees to him. And the reason why we've got all these, uh, all the social media outlets and all that kind of stuff, like, changing, Zuckerberg coming out here recently, changing stuff around to, in favor of, Trump and the MAGA movement, whatever. I mean, this is what we're being shown. The oligarchy is in full effect. Okay, tech billionaires, the wealthy, are in full effect. All right, um, uh, showing you here. I meant to flip over and I forgot. Um, Here they are. You see, some of his cabinet members. They're all back behind Elon, Bezos, Zuck here, all all of them here. All of his other cabinet members. There's uh, RFK. Pete, whatever the hell his name is. I mean, all these people back behind them, behind them. It's the tech billionaires, Silicon Valley, everything. They're all here. They're all ready for him being in office. And even the one thing that he even stated in his address was about when he brought up the L.A. fires. One thing he said is, the L.A. fires and all the rich, the wealthy uh, people there, losing their homes and stuff like that. And then he even said, and some of which are here with me now. I mean, it's full effect right there in your face. The rich are behind him. He is with them. They are there. They are waiting. This is their moment, and they're expecting to have full control. Um, it's amazing that people were not seeing this. Of course, and then of course Trump's, you know, fans and followers and whatnot, regular people. or even some of the other like politicians and things had to be in another area, off on their own inside, and then of course your actual citizen fans were at the Capital One arena in the cold. So outside of those that were actually out there thinking that the inaugural address was going to be done as usual, um, uh, and out there in the actual literal cold before they found out that it wasn't. Um, that's that's it. That's what is going on. Um, but getting into his address, we had this basically was rolling around. Um, they really he really seemed to hone in on this being the golden age for America. That seems to be the theme going at right now. I mean, even when you bring up I think it's the White House website or whatever, like the splash or some kind of picture or whatever that's being shown is a picture of Trump, welcoming him as 47th president, and then under there is like the so many words, and it ends with "Welcome to the Golden Age of America." Um, that was his speech, and so they're really honing in on this. Um, uh, they've kind of changed the idea from his 2016, where it was more about, this dark side of America is here, and that we're going to, where the Make America Great, but it was kind of in we're going to look back, we're going back to get away from this, the bad stuff that's happening in America. We're going to go backwards to make it better. And this one, the MAGA theme kind of flipped on itself, which of course the MAGA thing was stolen from Reagan to begin with, but it kind of flipped more in the direction of what actually Reagan almost sort of meant it, as if, we're going to make America great again. Like, we're going to take what we've previously had that made America great, and then we're going to implement that in our future. Like, we're going to go forward with that in a, kind of thing. That's the way this one kind of played out. Is in this we're in this sunshine kind of moment, the golden moment, and I'm gonna bring the country in a better direction that way. It's kind of the way it was trying to shape up to some degree. But it also wasn't even a typical like inaugural address that just sort of is like this plateau like speech about all this greatness and what we can be and blah blah blah. Doesn't really ever, most of them don't ever really go into any kind of like specifics or policies or anything like that. But he decided to go into some policy stuff and talk about some shit. So it was a little bit different in that aspect too. Matter of fact, it even was the longest inaugural speech on record, at running in, I think, at 29 minutes. Um, and which I want to say maybe Biden's was the previous longest. Um, and then Obama's before that, or something like that. Um, yeah, I can't remember what the numbers were, but anyways, he first starts off basically, for the most part, with immigration, talking about, immediately we're going to shut down the wall, we're going to do all the, we're starting to our deportations, all that kind of things like that, wrapping all around that, claiming the, how much wall was built and how much more wall we're going to build and all this different stuff, all the immigration talk. That was first and foremost. Then he kind of went into the drill baby drill, energy, inflation, all that kind of stuff, and which is crazy in itself because we're already the highest producer of energy in the world at the moment, anyways. So it's like, okay, we're just gonna do what we're doing, but do it more, I guess. um, and that was pretty much what he hit there. And then he went into the Doge thing, doing his tap dance towards Elon and everything, and the efficiency or whatnot. Then bringing back free speech. He's talking about free speech and everything, which was kind of funny, seeing as though Trump he's, if anything, anti-free speech. I mean, Trump himself is sued numerous times. I mean, it's ridiculous how many times Trump has sued a particular person or a group or whatever over something they said about him or something that they did. I mean, there's so many times that he is, sued over free speech issues against him. It's ridiculous. So to the idea that he's going to be the one to bring in free speech is hilarious. While condemning pro-Palestinian protesters and talking about uh, throwing them out of the country and all this other different. I mean, it's the uh, jailing people who burn the flag. I mean, that's a First Amendment right. It's already been established by the Supreme Court. This is nothing, all these different things. I mean, he's just nothing close to free speech. Then, of course, even though he didn't technically say it, he talked about DEI, and how they're going to, basically remove and get rid of all that. And in turn, he, talked about establishing only two genders, as far as the United States government is concerned, male and female, period. That's it. So, it was, yeah, that's all that, hitting on all of that. Then he went into the military and, of course, making the military, continuing to make it great. And then in turn, kind of filter from that into the whole changing names of stuff, the Gulf to the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America. And for some reason, Mount McKinley came up on this. That was a weird one. Hadn't heard that one as an issue, but that threw out. And then, of course, the Panama Canal, and trying to take Panama Canal back. He didn't really talk about Greenland or Canada. That was, thought with all that he was going to throw that out there as well, but he didn't. So that apparently is going to, maybe those are out the picture right now, or he's just putting them on the back burner or didn't want to bring them up, or, sort of restricted himself onto a few things. But I mean, it's just funny that this is the concern. Like through his campaign, none of these things were even talked about. None of these things were an issue. None of them come up. It's not stuff that people were asking for. But then suddenly, within a couple of weeks of him getting in, all of a sudden, this is a big issue, and this is where he's going to concentrate on. It's completely absurd. And we talked about the Panama Canal and everything in a previous video the other day. Go check that out if you want to, get a little bit more details about all that. But we know that that's all nonsense. And so he played through all these different things that were, that are issues for him personally, I guess, and then, but or act or wants to act like it is, but it's just complete nonsense. But that was pretty much the layout of it. 29 minutes, and those are the things he talked about. It was. I'm sure that MAGA and people who, especially the people that were there within it, absolutely loved it, and thought it was a great speech and stuff. It was what it was. He was being technical. True enough, he held himself from going off script or anything like that. He was very controlled in it. That's one thing. But once he left there, he went out to, well, they did the whole separation of going out and saying goodbyes to Biden and Kamala and all that, them leaving, the departure of them and whatnot. But then after that, he went and talked to the other group of people that were more like major, or big contributor fans and things like that. Even at one point pointed out that the governor of Texas was there because he started talking about Texas, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you're even here," blah blah. Um, and So he went and talked there, but that one was straight off the cuff, kind of no like um no screen what he was just straight off his head, off the cuff, just talking, and it was just a bunch of nonsense rumbling, making none of it really even made sense. He was talking to most of it was about him talking about things that he wanted to say in his inaugural speech, but supposedly Melania and JD and a couple others were asking him not to talk about certain things. So he was then spilling all these different things that he wanted to talk about in it to his actual fans there that were in that room. And mind you, this is not the Capitol one. I'm pretty sure he went to there and started talking about all that stuff again, plus a whole lot more. But it was just a bunch of just rambling nonsense, and most of it that he said that he wanted to talk about was stuff that no one should be talking about. It just doesn't make any sense. It had nothing to do with anything. I mean, it shouldn't even be talked about. Not only in an inaugural speech, but not any speech. Um, it was just complete nonsense stuff that I mean, his bob and weaving kind of thing that he starts with saying something that seems to make sense, but then goes on this long ass tangent about stuff that has absolutely nothing to do or doesn't make any sense whatsoever, and then turns around at the end and comes back to where he started and be like, well, that's the reason why. It's like, but you said nothing. um. Anyway, it was a bunch of nonsense, and showed his true self. You know, it was a little bit like I said, like what was in the inaugural speech was personally created to to look professional, to look presidential, to look. I'm sure he didn't write it, and uh, um, and give his um, tip his hat to the people he needed to tip his hat to, and then he went and talked to the rest of the other people, full on just Trump, and you could just tell he has lost some steps. It's most certainly the man is not where he used to be. Just even in 2016, like it's just talking. It's like listening to an old man with dementia or something. It's like it's just rambling about stuff that doesn't make any sense. Um, but anyways, we're here though in it as Trump. Um, he's supposed to, of course, go right into today talk to do some executive orders and stuff, which are probably going to be all around immigration and stuff like that. He's supposed to immediately back out of the climate agreement, which he previously backed out of in his first administration, and then Joe Biden changed, reversed on it, and now he's going to turn around and reverse again. So it's the same old back and forth as we always get with between Democrat and Republicans. Like, oh, whatever the Democrats did, let's completely change it. Oh, whatever Republicans did, let's completely change it. Except for they don't ever really do anything. They just take it away, but they don't ever really fix anything. But who knows with Trump? He's liable to just go full blast in a direction and damn anybody who gets in his way. I don't know. It's left to see what's going to happen. But that was pretty much the day. I didn't feel, like I said, didn't feel the need to stream it or anything because it was kind of boring. Even me talking about it right now, I'm even getting bored. I'm not gonna lie, you're probably getting bored. If you're still with me, you're amazing. Thank you very much for sticking this far. But it is what it is. And we'll just have to see. We got 4 years. See what happens from here. Who gets put in charge of what? Who lasts? who's still with him, as far as like his cabinet members, who's still there in the end, because we know the last time he fired everybody and then replaced them with other people, and then fired them and then replaced them with other people. Um, he's certainly way more unchained this time, though. There's not going to be as many people pushing back against him. He seems, the talk is that he's going to bypass Congress on a lot of stuff. I mean, he's setting up different things to make sure that he doesn't have to depend on Congress, that he can just do things unilaterally. So I don't know. I think the next couple of weeks is going to be crazy, what all we hear as far as executive orders and things going on. Because there's already talks immediately about ICE raids and stuff across cities all across America. We'll see whether that unfolds and how that unfolds and what comes out of that. So there's no telling. And of course, we have the tariffs. We're going to have to see where prices go. I don't know how long that's going to take effect, like to take effect. I mean, I know there's some that's already preemptively kind of, I think, trying to regulate that, some companies, but ultimately, it's probably going to be, I would say, 4 to 6 months before we really see stuff happen, or like the um, uh, effects of it. But all I can say is hold on to your butts, because it might be a very bumpy ride. Let me know what you think about it all. Did you watch it? What you thought about it? Um, is if any part of it that you were okay with, parts of it that you were worried about? Um, just let me know in the comments what you think. And until next time, peace. I am JMD with ClearTalk. I'm out.